3 of a season.
Hailing frequencies out of
Indeed.
it's like the early 2000s.
Yeah, episode 23, season 2, part 5 of a small AP. We are live, by the way. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Star Trek Adventures, Star Trek Livingstone, where we play the Star Trek Modiphius game. Slowly killing off the crew. No Chris again this week. And no Matt either. Now, Matt, I'm not sure if he's going to be joining us later or not. He's welcome to. Yeah, he was on a train. Is that a phaser I see before me, Commander Wraal?
Well, no, it's you never go anywhere without your cardboard cutout phaser.
That is absolutely excellent. So, yes, Ed's with us. And again, loving the old makeup.
I've just got a big bucket in the bathroom. I just dunk my different parts of my head in. What we're doing today. And tonight's gaming is sponsored by Snacks. And tonight, Reggie recommends for his pink skin mates, pink wafers.
I mentioned pink wafers the other day, actually, and I can't remember where.
Because we were talking about biscuits on Tales from the 20 side when we did our record.
Yeah, I was like, pink wafers, they're great.
Yeah.
They are.
Very nice.
Do you know what kind of biscuit I love? Have you ever tried the chocolate chunk shortbread biscuits from Sainsbury's, one of the big supermarkets?
No.
They're so good.
Oh.
So good.
Chocolate chunks. Well, we also have with us Amy, who's into her pink wafers.
I like pink wafers.
And a Davok. Well, it's only logical.
Absolutely.
And of course, we have Alastair with us as well. Loving that background, mate. And
I think Ed and I are in different parts of the same city. We're coordinated in a fairly unplanned way.
Oh, I recognise that triangular shaped building, upside down triangle. What's that from? I'm really intrigued, as you're both matching.
Ooh, I know. Ooh.
Go for Ed.
This is from this is the city. Is it Amenia 7, Taste of Armageddon?
Yes, the war games simulation episode, right? Yeah.
I never leave the walk.
It's Armageddon. No, sorry, I've no idea what it is. Still, tell me.
It's from the original series Taste of Armageddon episode. And this is the planet they land on, where they're at war with the other planets, but it's all done via computer link between the two of them, and they do simulated attacks on each other. And then when the computer decides that they've lost 1,000 people in the last attack, 1,000 randomly selected members of the society go and report for extermination.
Yes. Oh, is that the cityscape from Taste of? I did not recognise it at all.
Very, very, very clean, and even by sort of Federation 2260 standards, it's supposed to be very clean and bright. And they say when they land, there's no sign of any warfare or any want at all. What a sophisticated society they've come across. But what a strange way of living.
Excellent. Fantastic. Very, very appropriate for tonight's session. On this planet of Organ 3, how are we feeling about this?
Like we could do with finding a bit more of a concrete way forward. It feels like we need to uncover some crucial clues or information still here to try and work up a solution, I think.
What we really need is an admiral, probably part of the Justice Department or the Judge Advocates General Department, to come along and tell us what we actually need to do to not get into trouble.
Yeah, can we retain the services of a lawyer?
So, no, I'm captain tonight. Yeah. Well, that's why we have people sitting in the big chair, of course, making the big decisions. But the captain's not on the planet at the moment.
He's not. No, he's still up on the ship. I suspect we might see a little bit more of him today. Who knows? We'll find out. Yeah.
Do you know what? There's only one way we're going to answer that question, And that's by throwing ourselves back into the game. How do you feel? You ready?
Oh, are we?
Go.
Excellent. And we begin, as we always do, well, most of the time when I remember, with a log.
Chief Science Officer's log, star date 57379.3. Myself and the rest of the away team find ourselves on the planetary body of Organ 3 in the Shackleton Expanse. We have been sent here by Captain Wagner to locate and rescue the crew of the USS Tesla, a civilian science vessel. After our shuttle made what our first officer and pilot would undoubtedly call a controlled flight into terrain, we discovered the Tesla had met a similar fate and its wreckage was close by. Our away team all survived the crash and consists of Dr. Bosh, Lieutenant Kritis Valor from Security, Lieutenant Tarnasul from the Engineering Department, Commander Wraal, and of course Security Chief Reggie, who seems to have taken a particular interest in my well-being, which is curious given the history between Vulcans and Andorians. One might even say fascinating. The scientists on board the Tesla likewise survived, and we have met with their leader, one Dr. Emmett Sherman, in the custody of inhabitants of Organ 3, an insectoid race known as the Lormeans. It seems an ancient device has been providing power to the planet has started to break down, and in doing so prompted the premature and relatively imminent destruction of the planet. Whilst we managed to correct the machine's fault, the planet remains doomed, as do the 7 billion inhabitants if no intervention is forthcoming. This causes something of a moral dilemma. However, as the Lormeans are not yet warp capable, and the Prime Directive would most certainly apply, Dr. Sherman has a bold and intriguing solution to relocate the population of the planet to its neighbouring Organ 2. However, that's also populated by a non-space-faring race. Sometimes it's difficult to know what is most ethical and, of course, logical solution might be.
And there we have it. Thank you very much. Anything about the situation that anyone would like to add or comment on?
Well, I think we've probably gone against the Prime Directive here. So,
I know the Prime Directive's already sort of been broken by these scientists in a way. Well, not in a way. They've revealed themselves to the local inhabitants, but the local inhabitants seem to be quite au fait with the idea that there are other races out there in the galaxy. It's not exactly turned their society upside down to learn that they're not alone in the universe. I think it's more a question of what we can't do is give them any technology that would advance them on this. So we can't give them a warp drive and say, here you go, this is how one works. But is there anything to stop you transporting them on something that has a warp drive and leaving them there and going away without leaving them any technology they didn't already have beforehand? That's aside from the moral and ethical implications of transplanting one native species onto another species planet.
yeah.
Just to complicate matters further, we discovered that there's also a power source on the planet that I think we're not totally sure what it powers or whether it's just holding the planet together, which seems to be an option as well. And I think I'm right in saying that we discovered that it was not built by the inhabitants we've met on the planet, which again suggests earlier contact, possibly.
Well, it certainly wasn't in keeping. However, those members of the away team that had reviewed the Atlantis logs would definitely, the technology would have looked familiar.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, well let's throw ourselves back into the game. You have arrived back from your subterranean adventures, fixing this machine and fighting off big arachnid creatures. You are back in the room with Dr. Emmett Sherman, who says to you, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you all and glad you made it back safe. Now, have you been given any thought to helping me get these people transplanted to another planet?"
I think Wraal is probably going to have to take the lead in the conversation here as leader of the away team.
Oh, he's looking directly at Wraal.
Yeah, he's the one that we sort of waved goodbye to before. No, actually, just as a brief pause, I'm checking my notes. What the heck did we say to him all those weeks ago when we last saw him? Right. Yes.
There was a non-committal. It was all very non-committal.
Yeah. Well, we can't commit to helping him here at all. But let's answer the question, Doctor. Yes, we found the power source that you spoke about under the surface of the planet. We seem to have stabilized it. Well, I say we. It was my science officer who was most useful in that, and of course, well, always take a Vulcan with you. That's what they say.
They're very handy people. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Commander. Is it? Aye. We notice the quakes have stopped. We reckon that's going to buy maybe 2 to 3 months. We're still going to be struggling, even with that, to get the entire inhabitants across, even with your help working right solidly from now. Mm-hmm. So well, are you going to help?
You realise, Doctor, we are but one starship. And also, I am the first officer of that starship. The choice and the orders are not mine. I can obviously recommend to my captain, but I can't promise you or unpromise you what we can do or what we're permitted to do under our Starfleet regulations. We can, however, provide further usefulness in an engineering context. What do you know about the machine that was underneath the planet? Have you seen it yourself?
Oh, bugger all, to be honest. No, I've not been down there. But just to be clear, it's not your starship we need. It is your engineering expertise. Now, with your starship engineers helping out and your scientists, I reckon we can get this gravity technology working and get enough of their pods built so they can transplant themselves. That's what I'm asking for here.
So essentially you're saying just replicate their own technology over and over again, not...
No, they want our technology. Dr. Sherman,
no.
This isn't going to work. Have you spoken to the inhabitants of the planet you're intending to transplant these to?
Oh, on Organ 2?
Yeah.
Well, no, they've not developed long-range communications yet.
And what right do you have to move an entire planet onto their planet?
Well, I'm not being funny, Mr. Vulcan. Sorry, I don't know your name. But you're talking about 7 billion lives here. Now, it's a little bit more complicated. I've been finding out some really interesting information while you've been gone. You see, I always knew that the Lormians had a telepathic connection with each other, and it's a strong one. By heck, is it a strong one. Almost, I always thought, like a hive mind, which would make sense with them being insectoids. Well, I've discovered that it's more that they share experiences. So it's almost like it's one person. Now, of course, you know, people die all the time. We know that. We understand it. And the Lormians accept that as part and parcel of everything. But it turns out that they feel on an emotional and even physiological level the death of any of their race. Now, if 1 billion of them were to die, the shock, I reckon, and I've been working with my team on this, we reckon that the shock will probably kill the rest of them. That's why it's vital we save as many of them as possible.
And that guy look over at Kitus and sort of raise an inquiring eyebrow. Is that what you feel?
Our tricorders picked up some interesting readings when we scanned the local population. Can you enlighten us as to genetically how much they share in common?
Well, it's everything, really. It's almost as if it's just one person just sharing a subconscious.
Our tricorders displayed an error that would seem to suggest that they may even share identical DNA features.
Genetically they're identical to each other. We reckon that's part and parcel of it.
And is this a result of procreation or an artificial process of replication?
It's a natural development as far as we can tell.
But you're okay with potentially killing billions on another planet?
Well, no, the Lomians are a peace-loving people. They're not.
But it's not necessarily where they would be aggressive or anything, but just simply moving them with contested resources, viruses, diseases that haven't developed on their world. They've got no way of being able to encounter. How do you propose that all that's dealt with?
Well, the Lomians have excellent medical technologies at their disposal. And I imagine that they'll bring the other civilization up to speed, so to speak, and I imagine they'll live quite nicely together.
But you don't know that.
Well, as much as anyone can know.
No, this is a bad idea.
Mr. Davok, this is way above our pay grade.
We've given you time to think about it, at least.
Well, no, there isn't time, because the longer we wait, the longer we chew the fat over this, the more people are going to die. We need to work now.
We need some sort of go no-go decision from someone fairly senior at Starfleet before we can add too much to this. Now, if what he's asking is that we just get our engineering to help replicate their own technology many times over, that doesn't seem to me to be any particular breach of the Prime Directive. We're not adding to that technology, we're just increasing what they've got. What they do with it is then up to them. If they decide to transplant themselves to another planet, we can only suggest that they don't. If they do, we haven't transplanted them ourselves. That's my thinking.
That's basically it, more or less. I mean, it's a little bit more complex than that, because obviously we have to convert their technology into using it as interplanetary travel. It was never designed.
See, they don't have this technology in the first place. We'll be giving them the technology that they don't.
No. You'll be using their technology, just in a way it wasn't designed for. Is all.
That's going to be the legal sticking point.
Yeah.
As much as
legal be damned. 7 billion people are going to die if we do nothing.
But billions of people die every day.
Commander, as much as I'm enjoying this philosophical discussion, I believe the captain requested that we return the scientific team from the Tesla to the ship as soon as possible.
That's correct, Doctor. Thank you very much for reminding me. Yes, Doctor, we are obliged to return you to our ship. But we'd also like to hang on. We still haven't tidied up the remains of the Tesla yet. Our task is to basically remove any Federation property from this planet. And Starfleet or not, you're a Federation citizen. It's our obligation to return you. If you accompany us to Livingstone, I'm sure our captain can make a more informed decision. And certainly he'll get my recommendations on what to do.
Commander, I say this with all due respect, but you can piss off if you think I'm leaving this planet. I'm staying here to help these people.
Very well, Doctor. I'll not be taking you off this planet against your will. You may stay here, and you may expect our report and for us to report back fairly shortly. And at that point, is there a corner of the room that I'll just move to go and contact the Livingstone more privately?
I mean, if you wish to go to a separate room, you can. Yeah.
I will do that. I excuse myself from the doctor.
Well, I can't stress enough, we need to hurry. So get your captain's agreement so we can start working.
I won't even reply to that and just carry on.
Okay. You're contacting the Livingstone, yes?
Yes. Wraal to Livingstone. Hopefully there's... And,
Captain Wagner, incoming message for you on the bridge.
Commander Wraal, good to hear your voice again.
Captain, it's nice to be above ground where we don't get the standard Starfleet interrupted communications. Because it's, as we know, it's not a day in Starfleet if you don't get interrupted communications.
Isn't that the truth, Commander?
We've returned successfully from the surface, to the surface. Our team has made some interesting discoveries, which are probably too numerous to quickly brief you on. Would you prefer the team return to Livingstone and brief further on the situation, or would you like us to remain here and you come down yourself? The doctor is particularly insistent that we continue to help these people. And from what he's insisting on us doing, I think it's a little bit more than we're permitted to do. But obviously, as commander, I can't make that decision. And I suspect, sir, that as a captain, you probably couldn't make that decision yourself. I'd be looking a little bit further up if possible.
Commander Wraal, you've stabilized the power source under the surface. This is correct. And we estimate that this will give us approximately 2 to 3 more months of relative stability on the planet, at least postponing the breakup.
That's certainly what the doctor thinks, and Mr. Davok seems to think that it's relatively secure for the time being. It must be commended on his Vulcan stiff upper lip in sorting that particular problem out. However, the doctor seems to think that is still not sufficient time. He's pushing us for a decision, for action quickly, and I think a decision made correctly might be better than a rash decision that gets a lot of people into trouble, as in an entire species.
It sounds like he is suggesting there's not sufficient time for his plan to come to fruition, which I have already ruled out as an option as a possible resolution for this situation. If you'd be so good as to escort the doctor and his colleagues back to the Livingstone, and I think that would be a good time for senior team to have a conference about developments and decide how to proceed from here.
Very good. So he has indicated that he has no wish to leave the planet. As a Federation citizen, I don't think we're entirely entitled to exactly arrest him and take him against his will, unless, of course, there was some sort of transporter malfunction on beam out, which happened to catch anyone in the vicinity and transport them to the Livingstone. Not that would happen under our careful engineering team.
I think I will leave that decision up to you, Commander Wraal. I trust your judgment on that. However, I would point out that it's my understanding that he is in violation of the Prime Directive as a Federation citizen through his actions here, and is essentially acting as a rogue agent on in a society that may be vulnerable to his meddlings.
Very good. In that case, could you see if the Livingstone can get... I take it the Livingstone has a current lock on all landing party members.
And this is where I would turn to my chief engineer for a quick update.
And your chief engineer will tell you that that beam out is going to be tricky with the space instabilities in the area, but possible as long as the crew utilise the pattern enhancers that they took with them.
Commander Wraal, did you hear that update from engineering?
That's all copied, so yes, pattern enhancers to be utilised to ensure a smoother beam out. I'll ensure the away team makes that their next move.
Excellent. Great work, Commander. I look forward to you returning to the ship.
Thank you, sir. Wraal out.
Livingstone.
And with that, I'll return to the rest of the away team and mention to Mr. Davok and say, Mr. Davok, go and get the pattern enhancers. Put them around the room.
So pattern enhancers can't be too far away from each other, just so you know.
They have to make a net, don't they?
They do.
I'm thinking tensor barriers at check-in.
Just start doing scientific stuff that looks interesting. He doesn't know. He's just a citizen.
That's it, yeah. Maybe if Reggie can busy himself with like a stack of them, like, so just putting them out.
So you have 3 of these.
We have 3. So you can make a triangle.
You can.
Are the Tesla survivors all working in one workspace at the moment?
That's a good question. You don't know. You have seen 4 scientists in that room.
And I don't think we have a figure yet, even on how many of them survived. I can't remember if we've even asked that much. Yeah. Okay.
Do we have the roster for the Tesla in our recorders? Does that contain pictures of said people?
No.
Is it the future?
No, it doesn't. You don't have a roster either.
Is there we've just stepped out of the room that the scientist is in.
You are in a different room.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Kaitis will say, Commander Wraal, possibly we could ascertain how many survivors are present on the planet and who they are on the crew manifest, if we can find one, just by asking for a report from the team themselves of the Tesla, and saying that we're looking for that information so that we can start recording casualties from the Tesla in Federation databases.
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent idea. Yes, but I think we might as well just go and ask the doctor himself if he has a full. I think we did ask him about survivors earlier on, but I can't remember how. I think he said that what they had here was all that had survived the impact.
So, sorry, you're asking him a direct question?
Yeah, actually, well, we'll sort of. So we've set up the. Have Reggie and Davok set up their little beam out triangle?
Yeah.
This is in the different room to the one that the scientists are working in. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We've prepared tea and biscuits for you.
Exactly.
we can call them in one at a time, chuck them in the surf, and get them beamed out.
Little secrets of biscuits all the way.
It will beam 6 people at a time. Assuming the beaming works. The chief engineer was very hesitant about it might work. With the background answers.
While Matt isn't here, is Dr. Bosh with us?
Dr. Bosh is with you.
Yes. Could we do some sort of medical exam, which would give us a pretense to invite them all in?
Yeah. And Bosh will ask, well, what are we going to tell them that we're...
Well, they had a big crash.
We'll just say it's standard that if they're intending to remain on the planet, we want to make sure that there is nothing that they could transmit to the local flora, fauna, and wildlife.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. For screening.
It's just an excuse to get them in. But so you just need to make it sound convincing.
Yeah. You're going to have to tell me what you want Bosh to say, however. I'm not... I don't mind driving Bosh up to a point.
Okay, so it's so basically it would be like a decontamination thing. How long have they been here for?
You're not entirely sure, but probably a couple of months.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure this will wash with them. I think they're going to turn around and say, we're scientists, we've scanned ourselves, we're fine.
Yeah.
Jog on. Maybe we need a bit more of a specific ruse.
Statement reports on the crash then.
Yeah, some sort of something tied to the crash more specifically, or
a
bit of a bluff about something to do with something we detected from the wreckage or something that we need to scan them for.
Maybe the Livingstone detected some sort of radiation which could have affected them that we don't want to make sure they're not going to pass on to the local population.
Yeah. Then.
Right. So you want Bosh to go in and say this, that there is some kind of radiation from the Tesla that might be affecting them and they need to come up to the ship to be...
Oh, that we need the casualties of the wreckage to come to be assessed, and then if they resist, then we'll use that, and to give statements on what happened. because they have crashed into a civilization that isn't got interstellar travel sorted just yet. So we do need to make reports on this because this is a breach of the Prime Directive.
Okay, that sounds like a very different plan to radiation from the Tesla.
Yeah, lots of reasons.
Is the idea that we're gonna try and get them to voluntarily go into this room where we've set up the transport patterns with the story about needing to scan them?
Come over here, stand here. We need to scan you. Energize.
I mean, it's not very ethical.
And if it doesn't work, if we get them as far as the room and they panic or something, then we're going to hit them with, well, look, it was a ruse, but you have to come up. So move on to the transporter.
I don't want to have to stun them and drag them up there myself, but I don't think I won't.
I could nerve pinch them.
So I think we hold this plan B in reserve for if we're not able to use this story to lure them into the room and transport them up. Then we go to, well, we don't want to have to use force, but you have put yourselves in a situation where we don't feel we have any other choice but to remove you, and we kind of up the ante and see if they fold at that point or not. So that sounds reasonable.
This feels like hijinks.
Okay, so you're first going to try and get the scientists into the room next to... Let's start with that bit. Let's start with that. So you go back in. What reason is it Bosh who's giving the reason, or is someone else giving the reason?
Which is the best out of the options we've got? So we've got like a medical thing. We've got
I think it's going to be Bosh on medical grounds that they need to be... this needs to be checked out.
Just a once over.
Okay, so
protocol.
Go back in. Bosh delivers this. A couple of the scientists look up and start laughing, and Dr. Sherman says, "My colleagues here are well-renowned doctors. If there was any problem, we'd know about it by now. But thank you for your concern."
I was wondering if, don't do this, but Bosh could just secretly inject one of them with something that just instantly falls asleep and go, "Really? They're not a problem."
I mean, of all the many
Dr. Bosh thing to do.
Of all the many crimes we've committed, drugging Federation citizens isn't on there yet.
That's not using force. Oh, okay. Well.
Titus is just kind of fiddling, he's mumbling under his breath with his phaser in hand. Stun, wide beam, nothing.
In that case, as Commander, I say, Doctor, we have orders that the entire surviving members of your ship are to report to the Livingstone at once for debriefing. If you do not come with us, we'll be forced to insist that you come with us.
Commander, I am not a Starfleet member. I'm a Federation citizen and a civilian. I don't have to go anywhere with you. I would like each of you to give me an insight and security roll.
Now I have constantly watching if this is involving a possible attack of some sort.
Tell me about constantly watching.
That's the question. 2 seconds. I'm going to look up the entry first so I get this right.
While you do that, does my focus in negotiation count?
No, that would not.
Okay.
When you attempt a task to detect danger or hidden enemies, reduce the difficulty by 1.
Okay. Yes, that would count. So for Titus, that's going to be difficulty 2. For everyone else, it is difficulty 3. Oh, and we should have mentioned right at the beginning, you have no momentum.
No momentum. Well, I will 1 success, so I do not succeed.
You do not. You'd be glad to hear I no longer have threat.
Yay!
Sorry, insight and security wasn't
have
SG.
Insight and security, yes.
Yeah, cool. Oh, I got a 13, which is a pass for me, and a 3, which is a pass for me, and a 3 is under my security score as well.
Okay, do you have any focuses that may apply?
I have combat empath, so if they are planning to attack us, or there's some sort of combat situation and I'm detecting danger empathically, that's my best shot here.
I'm going to say no.
I've also got reconnaissance training, so if it's something external, then maybe that would come into play.
As a focus?
Yeah, as a focus as well, yeah.
Yes, I'll say that does apply, so you get a momentum.
Ooh, brilliant.
Hey, where's the momentum?
Right, I've got insight and security. Not brilliant, but okay. No successes there at all.
Was that Reggie or Wraal?
Actually, sorry, that was Wraal. Let's see what Reggie gets. He's a little bit better.
I'm going to say if the player's not there, they fail the roll.
Also, Reggie, no.
Okay. The only one who sees this then is Kitus. As the doctor is saying this, he pushes a button on a wall panel surreptitiously.
Well, I didn't see that.
Panel shifts.
And I suppose there's nothing that immediately
fireplace
can see that happens. Yeah.
Not within a matter of seconds. I'm intrigued to hear how you all react to his defiance, telling you he's a Federation citizen, not a Starfleet officer, and doesn't have to come with you.
I think Kitus
right?
will have to. Kitus will need to draw people's attention to this if no one else has actually seen it. So I think he'll shout something to the effect of, don't no more pushing buttons. What are you doing? Kind of thing. And I just, in character, he would definitely be the type who would have his hand on his phaser hilt at the point that he sees buttons being pressed after this exchange.
At that point, Reggie would have maybe put his hands to phaser and/or his Ushantor as well, be itching. Somewhere near his belt buckle. Wraal would probably not touch him, say, Doctor, we all have our orders. I have mine. You come with us, willingly or unwillingly. Please.
He looks at you square in the eyes for... feels like a few seconds. And he hears a door opening nearby and says, I won't be going anywhere with you. You hear footsteps behind you. And if you wish to turn around, you will see 10 of the Lormians, each armed with the same glaive as Captain Threema.
Back up.
I just didn't want to hear our captain's idea to resolve this issue.
I am not going with you. If your captain wants to come down here and talk to me, they can bloody well do so. I've got work to do to save these people.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yes, with these armoured guards, I'm sure he'll be rushing down to have a conference with you.
And you've just been given a lot more extra time than you would have done by our actions. And I think you owe us a bit of your time to speak with our captain to try and resolve this issue.
Doctor, your choice has been made. I'm not going to force you to go anywhere you don't want to. Crew, with me. And with that, I'll turn and walk away from him. And we will return to where our little transporter thing is set up. And I'll tell the away team to form up inside there.
Kaya shoots a dirty look over his shoulder, but goes along.
Shame.
Okay, let's do a quick count how many of you there are. So there is Eelin and Reggie, Kitus, Davok, Bosh, and Tana Sul. There are 6 of you.
That's 6.
You can all fit inside it, just.
Now, can the Livingstone do a site-to-site transport for us and transport us to wherever the wreck of the Tesla is currently?
If you're signalling that, yes. There are a number of Lormians watching you.
That's right. Well, I think, remember, one of our objectives was to see if we could basically tidy up that wreckage as well, and that's not where we've been yet so far. So I think we're going to signal Livingstone that we're transporting to the crash site, and from there we will be returning to Livingstone very shortly.
Okay, so the pattern enhancers reduce the difficulty of this. Let's assume it's Chief Engineer McGill who's operating the transporters.
Do the pattern enhancers come with us?
No, they do not.
That made it be more difficult to get out again. And we'll also leave them in the hands of these people that we shouldn't be doing.
Would anyone like to rethink any decisions based on that?
Perhaps we have to just go straight back up at this juncture.
I think we need.
I don't know what's best.
We need to have at least been to the ship, see what sort of condition it's in, and see if there's anything, because we discussed getting rid of it, setting it to destruct or something, because that needs to be removed from the planet, or anything that could be left lying around needs to be removed as well. Also, I don't want the Doctor coming back to his ship and picking up anything that might be of use and using it in his harebrained scheme to start populating the entire sector with insectoid life.
Yeah.
I suppose he didn't seem to be too fussed about the ship in the conversations that we've had with him. So, I mean, maybe we can literally get away with just saying to the Lormians that we could do with a lift back out to where you found us and back again, and deal with it while we're out there. We've not really heard anyone express that they care much about the ship or anything like this while we've been around them.
That's true. I mean, it was more a case of our sort of initial instructions were to tidy up the mess, including that.
Yeah, sorry. I guess just sort of thinking maybe we can get away with that, or sort of tend to it quite maybe easier than we're thinking here, in terms of like perhaps we can just go back on foot or by the vehicle we came in and
save our triangle for going back up. Yeah. Actually, yes. From there, we will approach the army and say, "Could you get us transport to the location of the crashed Federation ship?" One of them will be the captain. The same
steps forward. It may be Captain Thema. It may not. It's really impossible to tell. But they say, "I will return you, but you are not to return here."
Better take our transporters with us then. That's it's a long climb back. Reggie, pick up the pattern enhancers. Poor Reggie's going to be just carting stuff around for the rest of the episode.
Okay, and you are escorted to one of these vehicles that you were brought into the city on. And if you get on board the flatbed truck, basically.
In the back of this Beatles pickup. That's fine. Maybe it's a Beatles
hover pickup. Yeah. And you
yes, off to the location of the Tesla crash site.
And it takes a little while. It takes about slightly longer because you have to go past your shuttle. But yeah, you are taken to the crash site of the Tesla.
Right. So when we arrive, if we just ask our kind chauffeur if we just hang on here for us, because we may need to return to our shuttle afterwards. We're just going to and sort of explain that we're just going to make sure that this is secure and that it's not going to cause any harm to your planet.
Turns around, looks over at your shuttle, which isn't that far away, and says, "You can walk."
Yeah, I suppose we can. We did trips around another planet, another guys for quite a long time. Okay, we'll disembark from the transport, taking our bits and pieces with us, and bid him farewell.
And the transport departs off into the distance, around the corner.
That's good.
And
I
out of earshot.
Didn't want him sticking his nose in while we're pulling apart our own bits of our own technology. Mr. Davok, can you scan the wreckage, please, and see what status this ship is actually in?
Yeah.
The doctor said it was in bits, but I'm not entirely certain I trust him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you up close you can see. Would Davok like to scan the half the ship that is in one piece, or the back half of the ship that is in another piece?
Well, I would like to eventually do all of them, so I'll start from the left.
Okay. Give me a reason and sight. What are you scanning for? Actually,
instead, just have a look here. Now, as the con officer of the Livingstone and as flight controller, I get a little added extra. A bit like Davok gets some cool stuff, so do I. Now, it says, when the flight controller is required to analyse or repair technology related to flight or propulsion, they can use their com discipline instead of engineering. So, is it possible for Wraal to actually have a look and scan the wreckage with his tricorder, but using his com discipline instead of any engineering discipline that might be needed?
I mean, this is more of a sensor thing, which would be reason and science ordinarily. However, if it's specifically to do with the propulsion that you want to scan, I'm going to say yes, but what are you specifically scanning for?
I want to see if the propulsion could be, I say, bastardized and used with their, if there's enough of it left, that anyone could use it to combine it with the local anti-grav technology and transport people off the planet.
To see if there's anything mechanically or electronically salvageable.
So anything salvage. So I'll come back to that in a moment, Ed. If to see if there's anything salvageable might take days of searching.
I mean, like a whole engineering team crawling all over
Basically.
it.
Basically.
Is there, like, could I hit the key points, like the engine, the life support system,
Well, the engine, it sounds like Wraal is specifically doing that. Can the engine be used, basically? Will it ever work again? Sounds like the general sort of role, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a reason and con roll. Difficulty 2.
Okay, we'll use the normal 2 for this one.
You do have 1 momentum, by the way.
That's all right. I have 2 successes.
Excellent. So you have seen engines brought back to life from worse states than this, but not many. Maybe a team of Starfleet engineers, if given about a year, might get it operational again.
Okay. So we don't think that this can be, from the look of it, this is not going to be of much use combined with local technology to for the Doctor to be able to do anything with it.
Roll me an extra D20 and tell me if that's below your reason and con.
Okay. Oh, it's a 2.
Okay. Bit of extra information for you then. You doubt that the engine technology will be compatible with the Lormians' technology anyway.
Okay, so we're fairly safe that this is not going to help his harebrained scheme. So it can essentially be either left or dismantled, or if the Lormians do start pulling bits off it, they're presumably not going to be. It's not going to cause too much more social contamination than there already is.
Fingers crossed, though.
I mean, as the warp core is the primary power source, yeah, all the technology is going to be pretty incompatible.
They can't just plug it into a solar battery.
No. They would, well, from what you've seen, it wouldn't look like they have solar batteries. Yeah. So, Davok, you want to know about the life support system?
Oh, it's okay. It was more just if I was to make it easier scanning the ship.
Okay.
Like the key things.
I mean, has that sort of answered your queries anyway?
Yeah, if we're happy that the ship is non-usable, then that's good.
I mean, if you wait a few months, it's going to get destroyed anyway.
Yeah, the whole thing isn't going to be a problem very shortly.
Yeah.
Although we've given it a little bit of extra time that it wasn't supposed to have, thanks to your erstwhile subterranean efforts.
And it seems like ultimately it's just one person dying.
That's true. If they're all linked to that, yeah, they're all linked together like that. The death of one is a tragedy. The death of millions, just a statistic.
Billions, just to correct that. It's an important distinction, I think.
But we just saved billions a bunch of time, so that's pretty heroic. Now we're going to take it away.
Stick ourselves back in the bad books. No, we're not going to stick ourselves back in the bad books with either Section 31 or Starfleet Higher Command. Not again. I can't bounce too many more ranks further down, else I'll be swapping out the chicken soup machine. So, that being said, we've had a look at it. Right, let's go ahead back to the shuttle and see what we can... see what state that's in for the moment.
Okay, it takes you a good 20 minutes because it's across rough terrain, but you can get to the shuttle easily enough. It's got a big hole gouged in the side of it.
Now, again, looking at it, can Wraal give it a once-over? And in his expert opinion, is it flyable, salvageable, or is it going to be basically left to rot with the rest of the planet?
Give me a reason and science roll. I'm going to say this one's difficulty 1 because this is a vessel you're much more familiar with.
I'm not familiar with this one. Yeah.
So reason and con. Yeah.
Con. And we have one success.
One success is all you need. I mean, it could fly again, but not with the big hole in the side.
Not into space.
The engines, you're getting some funny readings from the engines. Might be connected with what brought the shuttle down in the first place.
Can I investigate?
They appear to be fluctuating. Yes, what would you like to investigate?
The fluctuating things. Engine.
So the power output, I can tell you, is fluctuating and inconsistent. And
So
the
power
shuttle very much relies on consistent power output in order to operate its impulse engines.
And what's the power source?
The power source would be a very small warp core.
And it's still emitting power.
It has power available, but
What would happen if it was to
inconsistent.
blow it up?
Sorry, if do what?
Blow up the warp core. Right.
You want to blow it up?
Well, how big of a thing would that be if we did?
It's probably take out. I mean, certainly the city that you were just in.
Okay, then Davok wouldn't consider that as a possibility, but Amy didn't know. So.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure what your end goal there was.
No, my idea was like, well, if it would only be a little small explosion that would just take out the ship in one like nice little sphere, then that would be great.
Ideally, Mr. Davok, I'd like my post-mission debrief with the captain not to include the phrase blast radius.
We can throw it into the sun. Maybe we could.
So-
we can't tractor down here with all this disturbance, I'm sure.
Davok, I'll tell you what. You can give me. You can give me a reason and science roll. I'm going to say it's difficulty. Yeah, difficulty 2.
You can say that. That's the nice. Right, reason and science. Oh, I rolled a 20
Okay.
and a success.
And 1 success.
Yes.
Was the success enough to get 2 successes with any focuses?
Nope. Just an 8. Can I re-roll? Can I use a hero point?
We don't have hero points, but you do have a momentum.
Shall I use the momentum to re-roll that 20? Or should we just deal with it?
If we can do that, yes, let's get it, just get it out.
All right, we're re-rolling that 20. Oh, I rolled a 4, which does meet my science discipline. I've got astrophysics, warp core thingies, computers.
Warp core thingies.
Yeah.
Warp
See,
core
I know
thingies.
my warp cores.
So you get your momentum back. That was well spent, and you succeed.
Yay.
So you determine that if you can stabilize the warp core so that it's emitting constant power, then you could use it to generate a large enough shield to contain the explosion if you were to explode because there will be a delay between the loss of power from the warp core exploding and the dropping of the shields. You're talking microseconds, but you believe that would be enough to contain it. You'd have to first stabilize the warp core, though, and you don't know what's causing the instability.
I know what was. This is something I feel positive about as I explain this to Wraal as an idea to destroy evidence.
And that's it. If we can't get the shuttle off the planet, we do need to tidy up our mess. I agree. However, lost my train of thought. Yes, if the subspace issue which caused us to crash in the first place, can we get any reading on? Is that anything like the sort of the underground thrumming that we had when we went down and discovered the device?
No, the underground thrumming was more of a physical sensation. It was physical movement in the soil. You're not getting that where you are.
Right. Now, Davok, can you determine if the disruptions that we had that has suffered was anything to do with the machine, for want of a better phrase?
You'd have to know what was causing the disruptions in the first place.
Yeah.
It's something to do with this entire planet, this entire sector is probably covered in some sort of subspace nastiness.
It is. You're in a more intense pocket of it at the moment, but absolutely, it's the same disruptions that that are throughout the Shackleton Expanse.
They're doomed.
I don't think there's much we can do to help this particular problem or people. I think
just blow a hole in their planet.
Well, we've blown up bigger things than this before now, like entire Federation colonies. I think that we need to report the current situation to Livingstone and advise that our current course of action is probably to destroy the shuttle.
Tap your com badge, speak to the captain, report.
Let's do that. Wraal to Livingstone. Oh God,
hello, Commander.
Okay.
What's your progress status?
We did not manage to persuade the remaining survivors of the Tesla or the Doctor to come with us. I decided not to use force to bring them, as it would have been diplomatically inexpedient at the time, shall we say. We don't want to cause any more fuss than was necessary. In the meantime, we're still in the process of tidying up the Tesla's mess down here. The ship itself, as the doctor rightly said, is a write-off. There's nothing that can be done to get it flying again. And from our scans and closer investigation, it's not going to be of any use to the doctor to use it to combine with local technology to get anyone off this planet. So I think the amount of contamination it's going to do is about it. Now, whether or not Livingstone can get rid of the wreckage from orbit with a quick photon torpedo or two is your call, of course. But also, our own shuttle is in pretty bad shape. We don't think it's flyable again without some serious dry docking. I wouldn't recommend bringing another shuttle down to try and tractor it back into orbit, else we'll probably lose another shuttle in the process due to the subspace problems we've encountered around here. However, Mr. Davok has come up with a cunning method by which he thinks we can destroy the shuttle and then transport the away team back to the Livingstone.
Are there any risks involved in Mr. Davok's plan?
No.
Mr. Davok's been closer to this to a warp core than this in the past, sir. But he's pretty confident that he can self-destruct the shuttle enough that we've definitely left nothing of Federation, actually of Starfleet technology lying around that would contaminate the planet for what little time it's got left.
I've only died one.
Just to interject, so that Davok knows this. Because Davok
knows it.
The biggest risk is that the warp core power fluctuates in the way it's been doing before the explosion, in which case the shield would drop.
But we're going to stabilise it first to avoid that problem.
To be fair, my recommendation would be just set phasers on high power and just blow up anything on the shuttle that's usable. And just basically wreck it even further and just leave the wreckage there. But Mr. Davok's convinced that a display of pyrotechnics would be more entertaining.
Yeah, well, the
Commander
doctor
Wraal
is chasing on time, so.
Commander Wraal, my preference is for your plan to render the shuttle as inoperable as possible and to remove anything of any significance from it with hand phasers that you can in a safe manner with regards to the warp core and report back to the ship. And can I ask you to elaborate? When you say that it wasn't diplomatically expedient to remove the science team, am I to understand that the Lormians involved themselves?
Yes, they seem to be in favour of the doctor staying there.
Very well. Okay, in that case, the orders are definitely to wreck what you can of the shuttle and then use the pathogen enhancers to return to the ship.
Very good. So we'll proceed with that straight away. Wraal out. Davok, stop eyeing up that warp core and get your phaser in it.
And that is probably a good place for us to take a break. We will be back in a moment, in a few minutes at least, as we all refresh our drinks. Don't go anywhere though. That's an order. Here we
Hailing
go.
frequencies are open.
And we are back. Star Trek Livingstone, the Medifia Star Trek Adventures game. Whoop, whoop. There's a roof. So yeah, you've got away from the Lormian city.
I think we're allowed
Seems
back.
like you've made a decision.
I regret helping them now.
Well,
Well, they haven't been very nice about it. We've given them a bunch of extra time. They don't even want to have a chat with the captain first.
I mean, we've postponed their execution. That's about it.
Do you think this doctor is all himself?
Yeah, I think he's a lunatic. He's a madman.
But this hive thing has telepathic abilities, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if did Kaitis get any sort of sense when we were in the city? Did you get any telepathic read off the doctor? Did he? He was coming across as full human. Nothing weird.
I don't think we checked that.
Kaitis
I
didn't
think
get anything weird from the science team.
No, they're all standard humans.
An intensity of work, desperation to be,
Federation scientists are always a bit like that, aren't they?
something.
I mean, look at Dr. Marcus.
Did they know about this before arriving? Or did they just crash here and were like, oh, okay, I've got a new mission in life?
That'd be a good question to ask him.
That would have been a good question to find out the answer to. I guess we won't know. Maybe we could try and beam him up against his will.
That is absolutely Captain's prerogative. I am not suggesting that at all. Hand of Wraal him from a distance.
I mean, it's still de-escalation from just blowing up the warp core and nuking their city. So yeah, we're scaling down.
I wasn't going to nuke their city. I was going to make a shield. It was going to be contained.
I don't know. I think we need to check back in Davok's backstory. There's got to be some Romulan in there somewhere.
I really know warp cores. I am so focused on warp core thingy.
Every so often there's this little dark bit of Davok that pops through that says, that's fine, I want to blow something up.
There are psychopaths in Davok's history, but it skips a generation. Skips. See?
With a limp.
It's just being logical. It's just being logical. You get labelled a psychopath.
Well, as Bosh says in the chat, anyway, Emmett can't be mad. He's a doctor. There's no such thing as a mad doctor or a mad scientist.
What colour was his hair? And
It was white.
Neat? Was it
It
crazy?
was not neat.
See? Should have known.
There's a reason his first name is Emmett.
Is let me guess, all the Lamian ground vehicles are limited to 88 miles per hour.
Yes. Well, when you got in one, you didn't need roads.
Mm-hmm. Right. Away team. Set phasers to wrecking a shuttle mode. Davok,
Okay.
you'll deal with windscreens and go nowhere near the warp core.
Is it likely that the warp core would explode if left alone? Given
No.
it's sort of like, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
There are far too many safeties and redundancies and things like that, and it would have to. So the way a warp core works is basically it creates a massive explosion by banging together matter and antimatter. And if it's just left to its own devices, if it suddenly shuts down completely, the antimatter and matter just don't collide. They're kept completely separate. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's fine. I knew that because I know warp cores.
yeah.
I think what Wraal will actually go on board personally, and actually we can shut down a warp core, can't we? As in literally shut it off, or basically just like cold and dark.
You can. The what was it? Davok called it a controlled. Was it a controlled descent into terrain?
Well, we've already had a controlled flight into terrain. That was when I hit the planet.
Terrain. That's it. Yeah, when the planet got in the way. Yeah, that in of itself will have shut the warp core down.
Right. Okay. So it's off basically.
You have to let me blow it up.
And you can dismantle it, of course.
Oh, can I take it back with me? How big is it?
Well,
a shuttle one's
you wouldn't fit it in the pattern enhancers.
Yeah. Would it be like a pet rock? Could I?
No, it's a little bit bigger than person sized.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll tell Reggie to set up the pattern enhancers for a beam out just nearby the shuttle. Then we can remove any items which are particularly salvageable. The furry dice from the cockpit, I want those, obviously. And put those. And Davok, if you want bits of the warp core, you can carefully remove them and put them in the transport enhancers area for transport back up. Anything that's of value, we can remove and wreck the rest of it. So I'll instruct the team to basically split up and get different bits off it. Like the nameplate off the back and stuff. I want to keep.
You get the license plate.
Yes, the vanity plate off the back as well. Wraal 1. That entirely
There's
nonsense.
a sticker saying if this shuttle's a rocking.
No, God, not me. It's also got one on the side that said red bombs go faster. So we'll put all that in, and then basically we will set phasers on dismantling mode, and basically phaser the control panels, the edge of the nacelles, and all the other parts that might be salvageable or otherwise contaminatable. No
problem. And to be fair, you can do that in very short order. That's not a problem.
Mm-hmm. I imagine that'd be something that probably in survival training would have been shown how to do that as well, to sort of, in case we crashed sort of in a hostile environment, to cover the fact where we'd landed as well.
Yeah. Takes you about an hour.
Okay.
No problem. Right. Okay. And with that, we'll tidy all our bits into the pattern enhancer area, and with a final look around, we'll contact Livingstone and say, Livingstone, away team and remnants of Shuttle Shaman to beam up, please.
So you can either do one or the other. There isn't room for both the away team.
Oh, okay. Let's send the parts up first.
Okay. So I'm going to need... This is going to be difficulty 3, just so you're aware, even with the pattern enhancers. This is going to be control and engineering from Chief Engineer Zach.
Yay,
so
Zach.
I can tell you Zach's control and engineering is 15.
Yeah.
So
Cheers,
who would like to roll for that?
I'm happy to roll for that.
Okay. Difficulty 3, you have 1 momentum.
Well, that is
And
two
just so you're
failures,
aware-
a 16 and a 19.
A 16 and a 19. Oh my goodness. The parts shimmer, you get the blue sparkly effect, and they remain exactly where they were.
Oop. Misfire.
Oops. Well, at least it wasn't us.
Zach tells Captain Wagner that just really struggling to get a lock through the interference.
Anything you can do to boost the signal, Chief Engineer?
Given it all it's got, Captain.
Hello.
To coin a phrase.
Okay, keep me appraised if anything changes, and then I'll open a comm to the hail the away team.
Go ahead, Livingston.
This is Livingston here, Wraal. We're having problems getting a good lock on your remnants from the shuttle, even with the passion enhancers. Needless to say, I'm reluctant to attempt to transport you until we're able to guarantee your safety. Do I have any? Is McGill able to give any insight into when this might be possible, if at all?
It's simply a question of, to coin another phrase, you being unable to change the laws of physics.
Mm-hmm. Can't even sort of wait for a gap in the anomalies.
Mm.
But that's the trouble. In this particular region of space, there aren't gaps. It is one constant.
Big anomaly.
That's why you didn't beam down in the first place.
I really wouldn't risk another shuttle coming down. Is there anything? Does Chief Engineer recommend anything we can do to help boost the signal here? Can we link our phasers power supply into the enhancers to give them a super boost and overcharge them?
It tells you it's not a lack of power with the pattern enhancers. The pattern enhancers are designed to have far too much power anyway, in case of difficult situations. The pattern enhancers are doing their job. Mechanically, it would have been difficulty 4.
Would it be of any use if we transport in smaller if we try transporting in smaller groups?
It was just.
Would that getting through the interference more? Is it just a case of it's a problem whether it's 1 or whether it's 100?
The chief engineer, no, he says the problem there is you've then got 6 chances to lose someone.
Understood.
He said it is really unlikely that you'll lose someone. He does say, it's very, very unlikely. He said the difficulty is getting lock. Once we've got the lock, we should be okay. It's just getting a firm enough lock.
We'd be allowed to spend momentum under the create advantage rule to have an advantageous circumstance where the interference clears very, very briefly to make a transport possible. A window of opportunity for a beam.
Create advantage. No, I'm not familiar with create advantage. I'll hold my hands up.
Could we run in a circle to make a tornado? Oh.
Let me get the
clear space
rule book and let's see about create advantage.
It's on page 85 once you've got it down.
85. Thank you very much. Really useful. So, create advantage momentum can allow a character to produce a positive or advantage.
I suppose by the looks we might use, it would maybe be McGill spending the momentum to. McGill spending the momentum might make more sense for how the rule reads.
Yes, you can. So yes, reading through, you're not going to be able to use a single momentum to get rid of the subspace interference for a brief time. It is more that you can use the momentum to reduce the difficulty.
Right. Yeah.
On one occasion. Miguel, in fact, does say to Captain Wagner, there is one thing we can try with the away team. I heard of a technique, really bizarre one, called a skeletal lock once, where they focused on the calcium in people's bones. He says, I can try that with the away team. Won't work with the debris, obviously, but...
Okay, it doesn't seem like we have many other options here. I'll praise the away team of this possibility and say, Commander Wraal, if you could dispose of the debris, we won't be able to return that to the ship. And then we will try with your permission to use this skeletal lock technique that has been suggested by Mr. McGill to return you to the ship.
Oh, that's copy, Livingston. We can do that. Anything to get us off the planet will be much appreciated. And with that, we'll away team phaser what's left of the shuttle and these bits.
I mean, you can each hold a small item, like you're saying about the plaque or something.
Yeah, I'm taking the furry dice.
Dice. Yeah. you can each take something.
Everyone, pick something that's most important to you. Make it small.
Basically. And just so you're aware, that skeletal lock would be the momentum spend.
Seems worth it to me.
That's your advantage. Right.
Livingston, we'll try again. 6 to transport this time.
This feels like an important role.
Not me after that last time, please.
Take momentum.
So, for Miguel, control and engineering, difficulty 2.
I've got 2 engineering coloured dice for this.
Well, that means
there you go. That's going to bring us luck. Yeah,
that'll be better. Yeah, I got to. Now they're not really nice matte ones, alas. But
you're not using the security dice, are you?
Sometimes. So, what was the target score? Sorry,
2. Oh, 15.
15 on 2 dice, and we've got a 10 and a 7.
As the beam materializes around each of you and keeps materializing, and you end up in the buffer, and you recognize the buffer because you've all been through transport before, and you're hanging in the buffer. And then starts to appear just before your eyes. In the distance, you can start to see the wreck of the Tesla materializing again. Then you're back in the buffer, and then you are on board the Livingstone.
Mean.
As Miguel has buckets of sweat dripping from his forehead.
Good job, Miguel.
Excellent work, Miguel.
He nods at you, and yeah.
Right, away team, report to the brig. Actually, I'll just mention to
the brig.
Away team is on board. Where would you like us? And where are the fairy dice going?
Briefing room 1, Commander Wraal, and I'll leave it up to you where you would like to put your fairy dice.
Where you can stick them. Yeah.
It's not been the first time Wraal's been told where to stick his fairy dice. Usually by his tactical officer. Right. Away team with me, and off we go to the briefing room.
Away.
Right. And you make it to briefing room 1. I love the idea on this really small ship. It's got multiple briefing rooms.
Yeah.
Just because you've got briefing room 1,
just a cupboard somewhere.
Yeah.
To be fair, Captain Wagner would be accustomed to having multiple briefing rooms, so it's probably still in the habit.
It's the only one with 7 chairs.
Yeah. So I'm guessing Captain Wagner is going to the briefing room?
Yes, indeed. Yes, meet the crew there.
Excellent. And yeah, find yourselves all in the briefing room.
Yeah, good to see you all again, crew. Trust that you were able to deal with the shuttle wreckage before beaming back. I see that you brought some of it with you, indeed. Glad to see you've kept your fairy dice there, Wraal. I know they're important to you.
Yes, and the vanity plate as well. I'll EVA outside the back of the Livingstone and attach it there later with your permission.
Of course. So it seems we have a bit of a predicament on the planet's surface here. It looks like further transports down may be out of the question, and flights down may be inadvisable at best. Obviously, we have not been able to retrieve the crew of the Tesla, although we do now at least know their fate and where the vessel has ended up, and we will be able to report that there is nothing left from Federation technology that could be used by the indigenous population. That being said, we do have Federation citizens interfering in a culture that, whilst I'm not convinced we can say has not been contacted by alien life before, we probably can say is not ideal for contact from the Federation in these circumstances. Thoughts from bridge crew as to how we might proceed now?
The Doctor was very insistent that we help, Captain. He's convinced that we have that the Federation has an obligation to help these people in his plan to transport them using their own technology to another planet. Now, as we know, the planet he's planning to transplant this entire population of billions to, in some sort of mad star arc, is already occupied. Now, I think I was clear enough to him that a decision of that magnitude couldn't be made locally, not by an away team, and probably couldn't be made with respect by a local starship commander. Would have to be probably at the highest levels of Federation Council to even make such a decision if they could do that. Now, that's unfortunate from a red tape point of view, but certainly the people, the indigenous population of that other planet, deserve our respect as much as the people who are in danger here.
I very much agree with you on that point, Commander Wraal. I also find myself in partial agreement with the lead scientist from the Tesla. I believe that it probably does fall under Federation principles to attempt to assist the population who, as far as we can ascertain, have suffered instability on their planet as a result of alien technology placed there at some time in the past. However, I also agree with you that that's not our decision to make in the present moment. And my hope is that your work on the planet's surface, buying us extra months rather than this being a matter of days or weeks, might afford us time to return to Nahendra Station and make the case for the Lormians to Federation authorities there to send a better equipped force to assist them if they judge that to be the right course of action. However, I'm concerned that the chief scientist may attempt to put his, as far as I'm concerned, reckless and inappropriate plan to attempt to fire the colony to a neighboring populated planet through space into action before then. And I think that one of our efforts before we leave should be to attempt to contact them to convince the scientific team there not to attempt this before a Federation ship returns, and B, to ask the Lormians if they would be happy to turn over historical and cultural information for our database. I'm concerned that gaps in our knowledge at the moment are not giving us the full picture as to what's unfolding on the surface.
Maybe they could send an ambassador from their culture to talk for them.
Normally I would be in favor of a representative. However, due to this tricky situation where I don't believe we are in first contact with this civilization, but I think that bringing one of them on board a Federation ship, bringing that citizen back to a Federation station is exceeding. If at the moment perhaps we are operating at the boundaries of what some Federation figures of authority might wish a starship to do, I believe that removing someone from the planet would cross it in the minds of most of my superiors, sadly. And I think we will have to ask the Lormians to trust us as representatives to make their case.
With the amount of time we've bought them, hope, and the Doctor was very insistent that we had to start now, and we had, but he was talking about developing their technology to allow them to do that. With a case made quickly to higher levels, a fleet of ships could be organised with enough time to get, if not all, then the vast majority of the population off, were that decision to be made at that point. But that's above our pay grade, Captain.
I concur with that opinion. Yes, yeah. My hope would be that the Federation will intervene to provide the resources to resettle the Lormians to an appropriate uninhabited world. But I think that beyond what I've described so far, we are now at the end of our options for intervening further. One thing I would like you to check out in the ship's data banks are legal precedents for how much of a right the scientists have as Federation citizens to be on the planet and be acting in the way they are, and how much of an onus we have on us to prevent them from the behavior that they're carrying out at the moment.
At what point does a shipwrecked spaceman have the right not to be rescued? I think is what you're looking at.
Yeah, are we looking at people who are breaking Federation law through their actions, who we are actually obligated to remove by force if necessary, or are we looking at people who are legally entitled to be making these undertakings as Federation citizens outside of Starfleet jurisdictions? I'm very, very sure that we can find definitive answers to that in the database of this vessel, and I would ask you to seek them out for us before we depart.
I'll have a look in the database before we leave, Captain, and see what I can rustle up for you based on that. I suspect, being legal, it'll be a bit of everything.
Thank you, Commander Wraal, and I want to congratulate you on your successful work on the planet's surface again. I believe that stabilizing that power source has provided us very valuable time to deliver a resolution for the Lormians. Thank
you, Captain. Any other comments from the rest of the away team? I'm not sure what Reggie will have retrieved from the shuttle that was important to him. Maybe it's Mr. Davok's seat. Seat cover. Just check my notes. Actually, it'd be worth. Obviously, I think Davok would have, or the Tricord would have downloaded all the readings we took from the subterranean alien machine and uploaded that into our own ships and therefore Federation database. But like you say, there's still going to be gaps as to who exactly put it here and what it is.
I'm sure once they put it into the system as well, certain sections will find it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and they'll definitely be able to compare it to something else they might have noted, say, about 100 and something years ago. I'll be filling in someone's gaps somewhere who has less gaps in the first place. Very good. Are we dismissed, Captain?
I think we're done here if there's no more comments. So thank you again.
Very good. Team, go and get yourself a cup of tea. In Cafe 7. I don't know.
Okay. So, Wraal, you're going to be looking at the database for any legal precedents. I'm going to say this is a reason and command role. I'm not going to put a difficulty on it. Let's just see what you get. Reason and command, you can be assisted by the ships, computers, and command, which is a total of 14. Everybody.
Okay, let's chuck in one for the ship as well. Okay, well, we get the ship scored a 5.
Okay.
And Wraal got a 16, which reason and command, not quite enough, that's 13. But Wraal also scored a Starfleet symbol.
Okay. Any focuses that might... Oh, no, it doesn't matter because it's a Starfleet symbol. So 3 successes. So... You search through the database. There is a lot of legalese waffle about the whole thing. Absolutely clear, though, is that the Prime Directive is a Starfleet directive, not a Federation directive. And in terms of precedent, you think you might have hit gold. Some 16 years previously, the USS Enterprise was dispatched to find the wreckage of a civilian freighter called the Odin that had crash landed on a planet called Angel 1. They discovered that the occupants had survived and had indeed made lives for themselves, and they chose to carry on living on said planet. And the Enterprise could do nothing about it because they were civilians, not Starfleet. There are also other instances where people have chosen to leave Starfleet rather than adhere to the Prime Directive. There are, of course, many instances of the Prime Directive being broken and the circumstances being justified. But that particular one, the Angel 1 incident with the Enterprise under command of Captain Picard, that's probably the closest situation to the one you've seen here.
Good old Picard.
There you go.
Okay, I think if Wraal's happy to relate that to Captain Wagner, that's good enough for him.
I'm just making many notes there. Yes, actually, I will be very pleased to tell Captain Wagner what we've found there, and that, in my opinion, although I was very tempted to stun the lunatic doctor and drag him back up to the Livingstone, I think the calmer half prevailed, probably for the best.
Excellent. Okay, and in that case, I think Captain Wagner's sort of last action here is going to be to open a hailing frequency to the surface to try and let the Lormians know that he's going to make their case to the Federation for assistance.
You open a hailing frequency and you do get a response. Aye, what do you want?
I'm so sorry, Stu. What's the scientist's name again on the surface?
Dr. Emmett Sherman.
Dr. Sherman. Dr. Sherman, this is Captain Wagner of the USS Livingstone speaking. It's a pleasure to speak to you finally.
You'll forgive me if I hold back to find out whether it's a pleasure to speak to you, Captain, or not, till I find out what it is you've wanted. You know your crew tried to kidnap me.
Well, I understand that you have taken an interest in the well-being of the Lormians, and have made it your mission to do everything you can to keep them safe.
Aye, 7 billion lives it's worth fighting for, wouldn't you say?
I would agree with your sentiment. I also think that as a Federation citizen, when a Starfleet officer asks you to comply, that you have that is a fair expectation for that officer to have. And if we were able to have had this conversation in person, rather than, as I understand, the calling of the Lormians into the situation as an armed faction, we could have resolved this perhaps more quickly than via this conversation now.
Did I mention that your crew were trying to kidnap me at the time? Oh, yes, I did. I just mentioned it just now.
If you tried to kidnap him, Captain, he'd be on board the Livingstone by now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see eye to eye on events on the planet's surface. But what I am happy to report is that I plan to make the Lormians case for Federation assistance at Starbase as soon as possible. My hope is that a Starfleet team can visit this world and help relocate the Lormians to a suitable uninhabited planet.
Good. Now, they'll need to get here straight away, because if we don't work fast and work hard, then a substantial portion of the population of Lormians will die, and that could take out the entire species. I'm sure your commander's told you that already.
Yes, he has appraised me of the situation and then the urgency that it involves. What I would request of you is that you leave to one side your plan to attempt a relocation to the neighboring planet. I have concerns for the Lormians' well-being, and I believe that it will not be necessary at this point.
I'll take that under advisement, Captain.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and my hope is that if we do not see you again sometime soon, you will see Federation faces appearing in quick order to assist you with the evacuation of the planet. And until then, we'll keep our comms open for as long as we can as we leave the system. And please feel free to reach us if there's any developments you wish to relay to us.
Aye. Well, I need to get on with my work now. I look forward to the help when it gets here.
Very well. All the best to you.
And the comm shuts off.
Excellent. Well, Helm, plot a station, course back to Nahendra Station, please.
Helm, course plotted to Narendra Station. Avoiding most big wobbly bits of subspace interference I can see nearby, and any planets.
But when you're ready, Helm, cast off.
Copy now.
Excellent. And thanks to Lieutenant Commander Davok's sensor modifications, you do indeed see all anomalies well in advance and can make your way safely, if somewhat circuitously, back to Narendra Station. Is there anything in particular you would like to do before you get back to the station?
I think Wagner will ask Wraal just to compile a report of the sort of biological scans we made, what we found that we thought was probably alien technology in the reactor, and not avoiding making a sort of best case argument for why we intervened in the way we did, and making the case to the Federation to help the Lormians up front as well.
I could also probably add into that the note about the Doctor seemingly having the Lormians, if not under his command, at least at his beck and call.
Mm.
Yes, sounds good.
About halfway through the journey, Zach contacts you on the communicator, Captain, and requests a word in private. Which is unusual, because normally he just comes to you and talks to you.
I will be happy to have a word in private with Zach.
And he does come and tells you he's been doing the investigation on the ship as you requested. It's not complete, not by a long shot, but it is rather strange. It turns out that there are areas of the ship or certain components that on the blueprints show as larger than they actually are, taking up more physical space than they do in practice. And he reckons it's so far identified 2 areas of engineering where there's not there's not the equipment or the machinery or what have you there that the blueprints say are there. He hasn't been able to find a way into them just yet, but he's working on it.
Excellent work, Zach. This was exactly the kind of thing that we were looking for here. So keep it up and let me know how it goes.
He looks at you and says, I get the impression you know something. What is it I'm looking for exactly?
When I was first aboard the Livingstone, there was some unusual activity here, and some things that the crew have let slip here or there. I believe that there might be something in the ship's systems, unusual technology, something that we wouldn't usually expect to find in a Starfleet vessel. something of that nature that may have been aboard the Livingstone at one point.
He leans forward and says quite discreetly, I have heard about Defiant class ships having a cloaking device. Do you think that's what it is?
Are they not outlawed under our treaty with the Romulans on board Federation vessels?
Yes, the Treaty of Algeron.
We could be onto something here, Mr. McGill. Maybe that's a starting point to look for any signs that something like that has been aboard the ship.
He nodges sagely and solemnly and says, I'll start looking around for any blue light bulbs.
Excellent work, Mr. McGill.
Okay, and he goes back off to his duties. And after an extended period of time, you make your way back to Narendra Station, where as soon as you're in range, you get a hail from Admiral Hubbard.
Admiral Hubbards, hello again.
Dad, yes, Captain Wagner, I trust everything has gone well. Good to see you back in one piece. Looking forward to your report. But first of all, you and your bridge crew need to report to my office post-haste. We'll deal with the report from your recent mission after that, but I have some very important information to discuss with you first. Look forward to seeing you when you get here.
Absolutely. Some of the information from our mission is time sensitive. Can I relay that to a member of your team for their consideration in the meantime?
Yes, you can send that to my adjutant, and absolutely, yes. But do come and see me as soon as you arrive.
Excellent, we will do, Admiral. Thank you.
Okay. And the rest of the journey, is there anything else you'd like to do before arriving back? You've maybe got a quarter of an hour.
Oh, I could fit in a skip.
You go for a skip.
Wraal will stick the late lamented shuttlecraft Sherman's furry dice in his quarters somewhere in a drawer, and consider that if we ever get a new ship, that's a new shuttle. That's going to go in that one. Okay. Just on the rearview mirror.
And anything the captain would like to do?
Sure, Wagner would be probably sort of looking pensive on the bridge about what the Admiral could possibly be hastening them home for.
He sat in the chair looking dramatic.
Bit of that, yeah.
Right, okay. And yes,
feeling the tension from behind him, Wraal will just push the Livingstone a little bit faster.
And indeed, in 14 minutes, you make it back to Narendra Station and dock. And yeah, you're beaming straight to the Admiral's office. Now, so you and your bridge crew, so who are you taking with you, Captain?
So Mr. Davok, Commander Wraal, Reggie these days will be at security, so we'll take Reggie. And we'll take Dr. Bosh and Bath Gronnahk as well with us. Okay.
And you beam into the office, and Admiral Hubbard's there. I gather the files are on their way to my adjutant. Yes?
They're indeed, Admiral, yes.
Good. I promise I will treat them with the utmost urgency. However, there is a far more urgent thing you need to do. You must evacuate the Livingstone immediately. And that is where we end it for tonight.
What?
What?
No, not the ship.
You've just got your fairy dice.
I know. Just put them back.
Yeah, you should have kept them.
The furry dice are cursed. Has nobody mentioned this?
That must be the cursed object.
You take 2 damage.
They were originally on the Atlantis. Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey, no. Ben's joined us just in time as we're going.
Oh no. Hi Ben. Bye Ben.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Well, there's going to be
Evacuating
consequences
Livingstone.
there. Lots and lots of consequences for the Lormians.
Mm.
I mean, they were going to face consequences regardless of us. So.
Yes. Yes, the consequences one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. That's very true. How are you feeling about them, though?
I think, hopeful the Federation will do the right thing and get a team out to assist them. I don't see why they wouldn't. So
I feel like there's a better resolution than what we.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Oh, we got a special guest.
It's got someone beaming in on the side.
Coming in, absolutely. Well, it's been absolutely fantastic, and we all good for. And I'll check if I'm good for a fortnight's time. I mean, you can all try and play without me if I'm not.
See how far we get.
Yeah.
It's the 5th. Yes.
That would be the 5th of October. So I'm okay. Hopefully enough of us are going to be okay. We know that there's going to be no Matt. Hopefully Chris will be back, but we'll have to see nearer the time. Yeah, fantastic. We will look forward to seeing everyone in a fortnight's time. Ed, do you know that you don't stop playing because you grow old? You grow old because you stop playing.
So true.
And on that note, peace and long life. Live long and prosper. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.